We're joined in the studio by a man who's bought booze. That's the last thing you needed. Well, what they
Who
say?
are you talking for right now? You're not talking for me. It's not the
what's that?
last thing I need.
Is that right?
It's the first thing.
Well, what's that famous song? We could look it up. It's 5 o'clock somewhere in the world, isn't it? It is 5 o'clock somewhere. Sebastian Reaburn, mixologist and cocktail expert, joins us to talk Brazilian cocktails.
And muddler right now. He's
Right.
muddling.
Is that
Good
muddling?
morning.
Is it?
Yes,
Morning,
it is.
Sebastian. What do you got?
We're making the national drink of Brazil, which is the caipirinha, which is all about fresh lime, and the national spirit of Brazil, which is cachaça.
Cachaça. So
Right.
what's in cachaça?
So cachaça it's like what rum would like to be, in a weird sort of way. So rum is made from molasses, the byproduct of making sugar. Cachaça is made directly from the sugarcane.
Right, and cachaça is a spirit, yeah?
It is a spirit. So you ferment the sugarcane, fresh pressed,
Yeah.
and then you distill it to a spirit.
Right, so, and what colour, is it a clear spirit?
Clear spirit. You do get some aged cachaças, which are lovely.
Right.
But the standard, I guess, is a clear spirit.
So until the Portuguese introduced sugarcane into Brazil, they would not have had it.
That is correct, and distillation as well.
Right, okay. So there you are, you start with your pure white spirit. What do you do to it thereafter?
So what we're doing here is we just take a good sized lime and a big chunk of sugar to sweeten it up, and we pour in some cachaça. So
Is that it? Like you're not
very
going to do
simple.
anything else to that,
We're
are
gonna
you?
we're gonna add
Is that
some
straight
ice.
booze?
This is straight booze and fresh lime.
I'm just watching these double shots of this liquor go in with some lime and some sugar. That's it, isn't it?
I'm very impressed with the fact he's poured 3.
He's not leaving himself out.
Yeah.
Why would you?
Absolutely. So is that final drink there with the lime, is that called
This is the caipirinha.
caipirinha?
So the caipirinha, the word sort of means like little hayseed. So it's a country drink.
Yeah.
So it's unsophisticated in a sense, and
I'll
it's
tell you
really
what, after
just
I have it, I'm going to be reasonably unsophisticated. I read in the Wikipedia, which means it's bound to be bulltish, that caipirinha is cachaça, sugar and lime.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's sugar, and lime. Isn't it?
Yeah, for sugar cane.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
When they say this is the national drink of Brazil, this honestly is the national drink of Brazil. And what I love is
What,
if
like
you
do
are
they drink it in Parliament?
well,
or?
what you will see when you are in Rio, and we will walk along that huge Copacabana beach, and all the way along the beach there are these tents at the back, right? And you go up there and you pay $2 and you get a chair on the sand for the day. And these guys come out every half hour or so and go, caipirinha? Caipirinha. And people sit there on the beach, and these blokes are at the back with their limes
That's
and their muddlers.
equivalent to the Balinese plait your hair.
Yeah, seriously, caipirinha. Like, it's amazing. They are everywhere.
I'd rather have a caipirinha than have my hair plaited.
And this stuff that no doubt is what, about $50, $60, $70 a bottle here?
not quite that much, but it is quite pricey because it sort of makes its way over here from Brazil.
When I was in Brazil, it was $4 a bottle.
yeah.
$4 a bottle.
Yes.
Oh dear.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
And there's an old adage that the worse the cachaça, the better the caipirinha.
Really?
Now there is a bottom end to that. If you do look at the agricultural petroleum, which is predominantly sugarcane liquor, that does not work in a caipirinha. I've got some friends who tried that. But definitely you want a cachaça that's full flavoured, that's got a lot of body and a lot of fire to it. And then the lime and the sugar is going to tame that fire, but the flavour stays.
Would we be able to get many out here? Is there much of a range of cachaças in Melbourne?
There is. I've been bartending long enough to remember when cachaça was like hen's teeth. You couldn't buy it in Australia at all. And we had to make do with rum, which does make a good caipirinha, but it's almost a little bit too smooth. And cachaça now is readily available. Lots of different brands that are out there.
Righto, I've had a sip. She's had a sip. Off you go, Sebastian. Join us.
What do you think, by the way?
Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. But I remember being offered a metaxa Greek brandy in Athens by this pappy old Greek guy, and he said, "This drink is like a woman's breast." And I said, "Tell me more." He said, "1 is not enough and 3 is too many." What's the sort of the limit on? I'm about to leave here, go home, and I've got a complete drunkard of a mate coming over. So what's the limit on caipirinhas?
They can be a little dangerous.
Right, okay.
Yeah, they can.
You're talking 1 or 2 at most.
2 is pretty safe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you think people realise when they're drinking those that they're just drinking straight booze?
No.
That's it.
No,
you sort of
they're
assume
really
you're having a
drinkable.
cocktail.
Yeah.
There'll be some mixes in there. There must be something else going on. That is not.
So that's like a glass and a half of wine, or or a beer and a half.
As you said, one of the translations I read of cachaça is backwoodsman. In other words,
Yes.
Country hick. It's also said that Brazilians have more than 2,000 nicknames for cachaça. White coffee, water that birds won't drink, eyewash, and giver of laughs.
Giver of laughs, I like that a lot.
Well, I was trying to think what we would have words for alcohol, wouldn't we? For various drinks.
Yeah, well, rocket fuel.
Yeah, rocket fuel. Good,
Rocket
got me
fuel.
started. All I can think of, my father used to call it lunatic soup. Well,
Seriously.
yeah. I don't know whether that's a Queensland expression or not. Now, does your skills and expertise as a mixologist and cocktail expert extend to beer?
I guess my enjoyment of all things alcoholic extends to beer, but I've not brewed any.
Right, but what about Brazilian? Have you ever tried any of the Brahma or Antarctica that the boys recommended?
I have not.
Right.
I've got to admit, when it comes to Brazil, it's still all about the caipirinha for me.
Do we do much else with cachaça?
Well, you do. There's a couple other things. One of which is a drink called a batida, which is like a caipirinha, but you take out some of the lime and put in fresh fruit. And when you're over there, you should have it with the fruit of the cashew plant. So, which is a fruit we don't get out here at all, but they make batida with that, and it's delicious. And the other thing, there's a great, I guess, little ritual for house parties in Brazil, which I love. And you get a really big jug, and you put in a bunch of lime and sugar, and you muddle them all up, and you pour in a whole bottle of cachaça and some ice, and everyone comes around, and you pour it out until it's empty. But then you leave the limes in. You add all sorts of different fruits, so it might be mango this time, a few more limes and sugar, another bottle of cachaça, and muddle that up, and everyone drinks it. And the idea is that as the night goes on, the drink changes, the flavours change, and you never take out the husks. So that if you do get to the very end of the night and there's no fruit left, you've still probably got a good drink there. But the other idea is that the flavour changes over the night, and if you're not there, you can't taste it. It's irrepeatable, and it becomes, they call it the soul of the party. That flavour in that drink and that jug that's shared between everyone, and it changes, and you'll never taste it again.
And then you get up in the morning and you look at it, and you feel absolutely dreadful.
And one of the great things about fresh fruit is it's a little bit forgiving.
Yeah.
Because you're having a lot of fresh fruit, and so, okay, yes, you're having a lot of the booze, but also the fresh fruit can be a little bit forgiving and not quite so bad the next morning.
Stay with us, Sebastian.
I want to ask Sebastian about what he's doing at the moment too, because it sounds super interesting.
Excellent. What do you drink? What did you drink in Brazil? We know about the caipirinha, or what was your experience with
if you remember.
Caipirinha? Yeah, 96900 693. You're listening to a Moveable Feast thanks to Crown, Melbourne's culinary destination. Talking to Sebastian Reaburn, mixologist and cocktail expert, about Brazilian cocktails. It's 14 to midday. 10 minutes to noon. Crown is Melbourne's culinary destination. Sebastian Reaburn, mixologist and cocktail expert, on the basis it's always 5 o'clock somewhere. According to our research assistant, the only place where it is 5 o'clock is Alaska, but it proves that it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Heading to you, Caroline, but Sebastian first. I'm one cachaça fact short.
Well, one of the great things, if you read the logs of the First Fleet, is they had to make an emergency supply stop on their very first trip with quite a few convicts to Australia, and it was in Rio, and the number one thing they restocked was listed on the manifest as rum, but it was in fact cachaça. So the very first spirit imported into Australia was cachaça. So we like to think that they powered it by caipirinha and cachaça on the way here, 200 odd years ago.
How amazing is it? The Rum Rebellion has got to be renamed the Cachaça Rebellion for a
How
start.
amazing is that?
Yeah, that is.
The first spirit.
Righto, look up the Rum
That's
Rebellion, will you?
Holy
Absolutely.
moly.
Caroline, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning. Your conversation brings me back to a memory when we went and had our cachaça drinks at the bar in Ipanema, where the girl from Ipanema was written.
Yes.
And, yeah, best cocktails there from memory.
Do we have to take it easy, Caroline? Do we need to be careful about how many?
No.
Hey.
You're a block from the beach.
You have to be careful, all right? Listen to that background noise. Look what happened to you when you had one.
That's my... Yeah, I know. And a shout-out to my husband who's listening.
Well, why don't you and your husband go to either Cotta, Emporia Pizza and Pasta, or TO2 at Crown with a $100 voucher. Thanks to compliments of Crown.
Oh, lovely. Thank you so much. Much needed night out. Thank you.
Good on you, Caroline.
We'll be looking for a place too. I've heard of a place called the Academia de Cachaça, which is supposed to be a great bar and sort of restaurant around the corner from where we're staying.
Is this
Ross.
bar famous, is it? This, the Girl from Ipanema bar?
Yeah.
Right.
For the song.
Well, 1 week on this program, we're not going to do it now because we're running out of time. We should do famous bars the world over because I was just reading about the famous bar that Ernest Hemingway, mind you, there's only about 142 bars that Ernest Hemingway has been to. I'm trying to think where it was now.
There's one in Paris.
Paris, at the Ritz.
Yeah.
That's the one I was reading about.
So he liberated the Ritz with 72 other sort of infantrymen. Went ahead of Allied lines and caught the Germans trying to steal the cellar.
Right,
and arrested them.
So there we are. One day we're going to discuss the great famous bars of the world, because I was also reading about in Budapest, there's the bar or the cafe where the bloke who wrote that song Gloomy Sunday apparently is also a great bar to go to. Hey, Sebastian, we're going to find you at Craft & Co. in Smith Street, Collingwood. That's
right. So in the window doing some distilling. So
Beautiful still there, isn't it? Just to go look at.
And that's a very modern place, isn't it? You're sort of
you're
getting all sorts of stuff at Craft & Co.
We've got a brewery and salami making and cheese making. That's it. The food's fantastic, which is a great place.
And so you can go down there and eat like a cafe or restaurant, or you can actually go do workshops and classes and get hands-on into those sorts of things.
That's right. And the distilling is all about being a brand incubator. So we want to take other people's ideas and help them bring that to market. So I'm going to be launching a gin with my wife in the next couple of weeks. So if you want more about that, follow at Cocktail Seb on Instagram, and you'll hear about that. And this is this whole idea of taking small craft spirits, bringing them to the market, and Craft & Co is all about giving them those resources.
Well, this has been a practice session for you because thanks to that drink, you've just launched Kate. Sebastian, lovely to see you again.